Navy Federal has a mission to put members first by making their financial goals the priority. Receive a lifetime membership benefits to help you and your family accomplish your life's mission, like a full suite of financial products designed to fit your needs, 24/7 live support, and access to over 300 branches near military bases. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information. Call 1-888-842-6328 or download the Navy Federal Credit Union app. Message and data rates may apply.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. This is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
We get to do whatever we want. We get to go as long as we want. Dad is gone. Kids are here.
If you're wondering why you're hearing the dulcet tones of Mike the Fantasy Hitman Wright, listen to this jubilation.
We can do anything.
Because Andy Holloway is on a well-earned family vacation. Andy, we wish you well. Enjoy your time away. Don't listen. Do not listen to this show.
No, it means look, if you are one of those listeners who, you know, you want to stay on schedule, you want to get the information, you want to make sure you get it tight, you get it fit. Look, that's great, and I apologize to you. We don't usually I apologize. We're going. The train has no conductor and no tracks. We're on ice. We can go any direction.
We are on ice.
Yeah, we're a train on ice.
Train.
Polar Express going sideways. And for everyone else, enjoy the ride.
All I could picture was Mr. Banks from Mary Poppins, and him just shaking his head in disapproval of everything that you just said. Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Week 5 is in the books. On today's show, we're going to be, of course, talking about studs, rising stars, talking some duds. Before we get into the quick question, want to remind you about the YouTube. Check it out, youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers. Click that bell. If you're more of a Twitter kind of fella or gal, check us out at the FF Ballers, at JasonFFL, at FF Hitman, or at Vacation. You can check him out. I think that's a good Twitter handle.
Oh, I'm sure someone has it.
Somebody probably does. Someone look that up, but at Andy Holloway. The website is thefantasyfootballers.com, Instagram.com/fantasyfootballers. Let's get into the quick question. What was Week 5's biggest fantasy surprise performance?
Well, look.
You're being rude, Jason.
I apologize. Jay Grizz, you want to go first?
If you don't speak cardboard bear, he's saying that Mitch Trubisky scored 0 points this week after last week's 6-touchdown game.
I mean, I called it.
Jay Grizz is really disappointed. Well, and while you were you're doing the pre, I'm listening to the intro. I'm staring across the table at the bear. And it's been a while since I've actually just looked at the bear and realized how ridiculous my life has become. That across the table from me is a giant cardboard cutout of a grizzly bear. You can follow him at JGrizzFFL, of course.
Oh, yeah, he has over 10,000 Twitter followers because what a world. Also, so my biggest surprise right off the bat was that the at Vacation Twitter account is suspended. So maybe we can get this. Maybe we can claw this away from Twitter for Andy.
$5.
Yeah,
I will buy
cash. No, I mean, there were I would say a lot of surprises this week, but the one that was both surprising and disappointing, which is kind of how I took this, was Marcus Mariota. Coming off of a great game, the breakout for Corey Davis, and I knew, we knew this wouldn't be a great matchup for Corey Davis due to the Buffalo cornerback situation, but Marcus Mariota was not bad. He was, unfathomably poor. He barely threw for more than 50%, which not good. Then no touchdowns, which is also not good. At least he did throw an interception, But because he's got
At least?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's great news for him. And then he's got the baseline of rushing, so he was able to get a whole 10 yards. I mean, he
right.
It was all phases. All phases were poor for Marcus Mariota.
The Titans lost to Buffalo, which shout out. I think that was Andy's almost upset of the week. And Josh Allen threw for 82 yards. That's I'm not saying that to push Josh Allen down yet again. I'm saying the Titans lost to a team that had 82 passing yards. That is rough. That feels bad.
Yeah, last week I kind of finally said I turned the corner. I turned the corner on the Titans, believing that maybe they're just a good team because I was calling it witchcraft and magic. I'm full 360 now. I went 180.
So you're back to
I'm back to where I started.
But
thinking,
no, 360 would be that you are where you were already because, no, that's you believing they're a good team.
I'm saying I have completed. So, like, I 180'd last week, and now I completed the circle. I'm back to where I believe, which is like
I gotcha.
They're just having some weird games.
My biggest surprise is, of course, Isaiah Crowell, who led me to a dynasty victory over Andy's ridiculous team. My piece of crap dynasty team came through because of Isaiah Crowell and his plus 200 rushing yards. Shout out, Crowell. I love you. Big smooches for that guy. The biggest surprise for me was actually Robby Anderson on the exact same team. Sam Darnold transformed into Josh McCown, at least the ghost of Josh McCown, because he decided maybe I should throw it deep because I have one of the best deep weapons in the NFL. Robby Anderson comes through with 2 huge touchdowns, just missed Quincy Enunwa on another one. This is
one of those.
Did Darnold do a 360? Did Sam Darnold Schwarzenegger?
Go long.
Get to the end zone.
Get to the end zone. I like that. Did he? So I just literally made a note here. I want to go watch every snap of the Jets game again and see what happens because Darnold was not really. He's got an arm. He could throw the ball deep. We all know that, but that wasn't what he was doing. It wasn't what we expected him to do. And then in this game, he found Robby Anderson deep twice. So I'm going to go back, watch it, see if these were the scripted plays, if these were, just him making a great read and being willing to air it out. Quincy Enunwa on the flip side could have been, both Robby Anderson and Quincy Enunwa could have been biggest surprises because his floor has been so high on the season, and he had 0 for 0. There's a very low floor, Mike.
Yes, well, we're actually going to talk about him. I think there was a reason that he showed up there, but let's get into the Weekly Rewind.
Weekly Rewind.
Well, what seems to be the weekly injury report on Matt Breida. Man, this guy's going down every single week. It looked really bad when he went down against the Cardinals, but apparently it's just a mid to high ankle sprain, which isn't great news because a high ankle sprain is multiple weeks.
I will say this, Pro Football Doc, who's super accurate with video evidence, I think he came out right away and said it looks like a high ankle sprain. That was before any reporting had come out. So I'm going to go ahead and say that that's probably what it is. We'll talk about Alf tomorrow on the waiver wire pickup show, but he's a must pick up now as the solo back.
But the good news for Breida is he won't be out for the season.
Right. Just a couple weeks.
So he'll be back. George Kittle did. He got a little nicked up on his knee, but I think that he is okay. The Rams.
Oh, what happens when Trey Burton gets like that? Like when Trey Burton gets nicked up on his knee, all I could think when you were saying this is like, he had a little boo-boo. Yes, Trey Boo Boo. Thank you, Mike. I'll be here all day.
The Rams wide receivers suffered a couple of concussions. Brandin Cooks was the devastating one. We all saw it happen. It looked really rough. Hopefully he's okay. And then later it came out that Cooper Kupp all of a sudden was gone, and they reported on the broadcast that Cooper Kupp was also being evaluated and ruled out for a concussion.
Yeah, when it comes to concussions, it really doesn't matter how hard it is on the field for their time, what it looks like for their ability to either continue that game or to get back for next week. You'll just have to follow the practice reports, see if they're getting more and more involved and progressing through the concussion protocol as the week goes on to know whether or not these guys will be there. If not, though, I mean, Josh Reynolds came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like if you're a Ram wide receiver, Sean McVay just schemes it to where the defense can't see you somehow. I mean, every time you look at any Ram receiver, they're just running 3 yards open. It's ridiculous.
Kerryon Johnson exited Week 5 against the Packers with an ankle injury. Now, he says he's fine. It looked pretty rough. It was on a great run to the outside. His knee buckled. It was one of those, oh, crap, what just happened? Did a ligament go? But just an ankle injury. He said he could have gone back in.
Yeah, I was thrilled to find out that was an ankle injury, even if for some reason it keeps him out a week. Great by comparison to any kind of devastating knee injury. He's just looked so good. And having been vultured twice by LeGarrette Blount this week, the sky's the limit for Kerryon. I'm not worried. I mean, you're just going to have to continue to see if he gets on the practice field this week, but I expect he'll be back.
Corey Grant, Jacksonville Jaguars running back, suffered a Liz Frank injury. He will be out the remainder of the season. Holy crap, TJ Yeldon.
Oh.
TJ Yeldon is doing his best Fred Jackson impression right now, just a depth chart assassin. Everyone on the Jaguars is going down. You're a running back.
For sure. I mean, what TJ Yeldon can do in the passing game, and we talk about this in the draft season, right? You have the really involved workhorse backs, but then you have the guys who are also pass catchers, and those are more rare. And TJ Yeldon now is in that elite few where it's first, second, and third down. There's no choice. So whether or not he has a great game on the ground, he's going to be fine in fantasy. I mean, he's locked into a top 10 back until Leonard Fournette gets back.
Now, Quincy Enunwa, he hurt some people with the 0 catches. However, it was revealed during the game that Enunwa seemed to be dealing with a hand injury, and they found out about this right before the game, and he indeed had some sort of brace on his hand. Thanks for the update, beat reporters.
You know, what's funny is, based on target volume and looking Robbie Anderson's way, I wonder how much that affected Darnold's willingness to throw it deep, to say,
possible.
I'm going to have to, reorder my reads.
Ajayi he left the game. He was questionable with a knee injury. He did return.
We got a message, an alert saying like Ajayi questionable to return, and then I looked up and it's like, wait, he's on the field right now.
But Ajayi is going to be a mystery. Wendell Smallwood ended up with a decent fantasy game. Can you play Ajayi?
You can. The system will allow it, but I would not. I mean, there are a couple players right now that I view as you have to get rid of. You have to get rid of these players. You have to take these landmines and turn them into something, package them, and get them on another team who is tempted from time to time to play them, like Ajayi with his injury problems, like Derrick Henry, who just sucks. I mean, the guy is going to get enough work to where every now and then, bye weeks are coming up, someone's going to need him, you're going to want to plug him in. Oh, this matchup looks okay. If he can't do it here, when can he? And then it's like, it's just never going to get it done.
Ian Rappaport is reporting there is confidence, quote, that Greg Olsen will return in week 6. You buying it?
Yeah, no, I fully expect that Greg Olsen will be back in week 6. While he's out there, he will perform well, but he is seriously, genuinely at a very high risk of re-aggravating that exact same injury. I call it 50-50. He's going to come back out. He's going to play, and he'll be good, but there is such a high risk of elevating. I'll take that chance. I mean, if Greg Olsen was on waivers, I'm 100% spending to scoop him up. If he's on my roster, I'm 100% starting him as soon as this week.
Are you going to trade for Greg Olsen?
I probably won't trade for him because he's going to – in trade value, people are going to give him the rest of the season. Oh, he's back. I don't view him as a rest of the season play. I do not believe he plays the rest of the season without re-aggravating that injury.
All right, let's move into the fun stuff, the good news, the people that really helped your team out.
This week's Fantasy Stud Muffins.
So we have, later on in the show, we have our Rising Stars segment. And I considered my Rising Star to be the second half of football games because quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, who threw for over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, was doing nothing.
Blake Bortles was crushing your team. If you started Blake Bortles, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, Andrew Luck. The entire first
terrible.
half, just absolutely nothing. But these guys came through with huge performances. Tom Brady. Is Tom Brady back with the return of Julian Edelman? I mean, and I know you were pretty much starting Tom Brady every single week, but there was questions like, this streamer's in a really good opportunity here, but Tom Brady came through, 340 yards, multi-touchdown.
Yeah, I mean,
is your confidence?
My confidence in Brady is as high as it can be. I mean, I know that it's been overblown, the whole beginning of the end thing.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous.
Well, it's ridiculous and right. Not the beginning of the end, but, I mean, the whole argument was that you're going to be disappointed in the Patriots you drafted. So far, you're disappointed in Gronk, Rex Burkhead, Chris Hogan, all those guys. Now the new pieces, I'm interested. I'll take me some Josh Gordon. I'll trade for Julian Edelman. And with those pieces that are so superior to Philip Dorsett and company that Tom Brady, I mean, he's locked and loaded. He's, 3 touchdowns pretty much every week.
Right. Running back position, James Conner returned to being a fantasy stud. Returned to being a fantasy stud. 21 carries, over 100 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns on 75 yards through the air. Jason,
yes?
we did not start with it, but the people are going to want to know. They want an update on your League of Record team.
My super team.
Your super team, yes.
Super team.
Which got even super-rubber.
It did.
When you traded for Antonio Brown.
I was 0-4 with this dominant team, and I thought, I'm not out. I'm going to do it for the Foot Clan. I'm going all in. I traded a lot. I traded a future first. I got Antonio Brown added to the team. After I traded for Ben Roethlisberger added to the team. Clearly this week, good moves. The Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown stack, it was hot.
It was a delicious stack.
It was very nice. I still might lose because James Conner, that jerk of a man, and several others. I mean, this is, we're going to be 2 of the highest scoring teams this week, and we'll see. So, Foot Clan, here's what I need. Right now I'm up by 10.5 points. I'm in the lead by 10.5 points. I have Michael Thomas. He has Drew Brees.
Yeah.
It's going to be a sucky time watching it because Drew Brees can do my entire output is completely dependent. Anytime that I get something, he's still getting something. So it's just slowly going to be whittling down my soul. And so far, I went back and looked. Of the 4 weeks, 2 times I would have won, 2 times I would have lost. So this is root against Drew Brees with me tonight. May he poop in his big boy pants. Mark Ingram. Be powerful. Be strong, Mark Ingram. You run that ball, and you run it hard on the ground. Anyways.
Sure.
You want to know what I put my chances of victory at?
Let's hear him.
I think the percentage chance for my victory is 55%. Oh!
Todd Gurley, we need to rename the section for Todd Gurley because it's just not fair.
I was joking before the show that he might be my rising star.
Because it's absolutely out of control. 22 carries, only 77 yards, but, of course, because there was 3 rushing touchdowns, nearly a 4th when he was called back on review. And I was lamenting as I was taking on Andy in the Dynasty League that Todd Gurley, who had 77 rushing yards, had more points than Isaiah Crowell, who had over 200 rushing yards.
Yeah, it's a cruel world, this fantasy football, but we love it.
Speaking of Crowell, of course, absolute dominant performance. I took a look back The Denver Broncos, since week 2, have given up at least a running back 15. The past few weeks, they've given up a running back 1. The celebrated Denver defense is not getting it done against fantasy running backs. Now, here's the danger with Crowell. He only played 40% of the snaps. Bilal Powell also had himself a very, very fine game. So this is, if you can sell Crowell high right now, you should do it.
Yes.
I don't think you're going to be able to, but maybe you can swindle somebody. Just throwing it out there. This, like, people want to know, okay, is this the breakout? Should I keep Crowell? And for me, no. It was just a big game. He will have some games of
He's had
relevance.
big games.
Yes.
I mean, he's had several multi-touchdown games, and so I think Crowell is a guy that he's almost like Amari Cooper. You can throw him in your lineup.
That's a pretty good comp.
Close your eyes.
He's the Cooper of the running back position.
And really hope, because you could have that blow-up game, but you could also just have no player in that slot.
Barkley, another dominant performance for Saquon Barkley, who also jammed his knee on his incredible leaping touchdown.
When you fall from 25 feet and land on your feet, a lot of times you jam your knee, and that's what happened. I mean, he hurdled the team. I mean, it was
ridiculous.
Fun to watch athletes do those type of things.
Honorable mentions: T.J. Yeldon, David Johnson, Jason.
Oh, David Johnson! Woo! We need to actually talk about David Johnson.
Okay, we'll come back to him. Melvin Gordon, great game. Joe Mixon.
Oh yeah,
he came back and it was once again reported that the load would be carried by Joe Mixon and Mark Waldenberg.
Oh, hey, Joe, what's up? You played really well. I was happy to be your teammate, man. You think I could get the ball?
No.
Oh, no? Okay, you keep doing a good job, man. Say hi to your mother for me.
The 3 guys that I think we should at least focus on for a little bit. James White, auto start.
Yes, 100%.
With Rex Burkhead out of the way, 14 targets.
14 targets.
And he gets to play the Chiefs.
I mean, the reality is, even if you are in a standard league, like James White has always been a PPR-only guy. I mean, 14 targets. If you look, he got 2 carries for 0 yards.
Yeah.
You can't play a guy like that in a standard league, except you sure can, because he's going to get, seems like 70-plus, receiving yards every game, and his chance at a touchdown is as high as Sony Michel's.
All right, so the 2 guys where it's crazy. They're back. Well, they were back for a week. David Johnson and Kenyan Drake.
Oh.
Drake had a monster game, over 100 yards from scrimmage and a score.
Yeah,
that's a pretty solid game.
Because he's great. 13 total touches, not great. He had 6 carries.
But I mean, yes,
to Frank Gore's 12 carries.
But 11
What
targets.
are you doing?
He's Adam Gase. This is what he does.
Wait, is Adam Gase the one that you straight up called a butthole?
I did.
You are a smart and beautiful man, Mike, right?
Thank you.
Because I'm on board. Adam Gase is a butthole. Get him off the Dolphins. Get the ball in Kenyan Drake's hands. There was a great beat reporter from the Dolphins who this week was at practice and literally went up to Mr. Butthole and said, Mr. B. And he pointed to Kenyan Drake out on the practice field and said, do you want me to introduce you to Kenyan Drake? Because he's like, you should get to know this guy. You're running back. You should get him the ball. And I don't think Mr. B liked it, but, what can you do?
Probably
At least
not.
he had – I mean, the reality is Kenyan Drake had 11 targets, which is glorious. You want to see that, him involved in the passing game. That's where he had 7 receptions for 69 yards and a touchdown. He's electric, boogie woogie. But I still don't know if you could trust him.
Okay, speaking of trust, what about David Johnson?
Yes, that.
He had 18 carries.
Great.
95% of them are up the middle for no gain because Mike McCoy is also in the Mr. B category.
I'm screaming.
But he scored twice.
Yes, he scored twice. We're all watching and screaming at the TV. I mean, before the play. Hey, we're joking like, hey, why don't you give it to David Johnson right up the middle into a crowd? Why don't you do that? And then they just kept doing that. It was disgusting and awful, and the play calling and offensive coordinating, if you can even call it that, Mike McCoy was disgusting. But David Johnson got 2 touchdowns because of short fields from the Arizona defense, taking the ball away. I think they had, 4 takeaways?
Something like that.
Maybe
They were
5.
They were a very strong DST play.
Yeah, so short fields resulted in touchdowns to David Johnson. If you look at his opportunity and his fantasy finish over the last several weeks, he's been a fine play. He's been really helpful for fantasy. And so, because of that, especially paired with the narrative that Josh Rosen is able to actually move the ball, he's here for 2 weeks, 2 good weeks for David Johnson. You must, I am telling you, must shop David Johnson. He is not a must-trade because he is still one of, if not the most talented running back in the NFL. I mean, we saw Todd Gurley struggle with Jeff Fisher and company, and he wasn't great, even though right now it's like, oh, he's the best running back in the NFL. David Johnson might be the best running back in the NFL, but the Arizona Cardinals offense, if you didn't watch the game and if your league mates did not watch the game, if they're just looking at the box score and they go, oh, he's getting opportunity, he's getting touchdowns, he's David Johnson, try everything you can to trade up. Try to trade David Johnson into Ezekiel Elliott, into Melvin Gordon, into one of those type of elite guys, package David Johnson with someone else, and see if you can get it done. Because I'm telling you, if you did not watch the game, you've never seen a worse offense. I mean, the Josh Rosen could not – his number one target, who was wide open all game, was the grass. The big patches of field
was very open.
He hit it left, right, and center.
And
it was
very impressive.
Really impressive. So, and please don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not saying you have to trade him. I'm saying you have to shop him. You have to try to capitalize on his value. If you can't, then whatever. He's still going to be fine.
Before we talk about wide receivers, I want to thank today's sponsor, Lightstream. Have you ever looked at your credit card statement and been shocked by the interest rate? Did you know you could actually roll all of your credit card debt into one monthly payment at a lower fixed interest rate? Lightstream offers credit card consolidation loans from 5.89 APR with auto pay. That's lower than the average credit card interest rate of over 18%. Get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000. You can even get your funds as soon as the day you apply, because Lightstream believes that people with good credit deserve a great interest rate and no fees. Right now, Foot Clan, our listeners can get a special discount on top of Lightstream's already low rates. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/footballers. That's lightstream.com/footballers. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes a 0.5 auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/footballers for more information.
And men out there, if you need a suit, we've talked about them for a long time. Indochino is the place to get a suit, whether that's your job and you need to wear a suit every day, or whether it's just, hey, look, we're going to be coming up always, every year on wedding season, on important events. You want to look good. There is a huge difference between buying a suit off a rack and getting a premium tailored, made-to-measure, fit-to-your-body suit. And I didn't know that until I had Indochino. I've used it. All three of us have Indochino suits. I've never had anything fit better. Now Indochino's expanding into casual clothing, made-to-measure chinos, and these will quickly become your go-to pants. They're perfect for any time of year, any occasion. Introductory price of just $79. And better yet, this week, our listeners can get any premium Indochino suit for only $359 at Indochino.com. Just enter the code FOOTBALLERS at checkout. That's 50% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit, and shipping is free. Indochino.com. Use the promo code FOOTBALLERS to get any premium suit for just $359. It's an incredible deal.
At the wide receiver position, Odell Beckham was back, baby.
We've been saying, buy him.
Absolutely.
He's a freak.
He's an elite wide receiver, elite talent, and I mean, just for the icing on the cake, he threw a 57-yard touchdown pass to Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, when you have James Conner and Odell Beckham, you make me go 0-5. I don't like.
He
Odell
was part
Beckham.
of the problem. Robbie Anderson. So he had 3 receptions, 123 yards, and 2 scores. Gets to play the Colts and Minnesota. at home the next 2 weeks, are you interested in Robby Anderson?
So tomorrow is our waiver wire show. Robby Anderson will be discussed in detail, but I mean in detail because I'm going to investigate more on the Quincy Enunwa. I'm going to go back and watch those snaps and see whether or not I buy into – because the talent is there.
Right.
But if he's not getting the opportunity, which he hasn't had this season, then it's irrelevant. Now maybe the injury to Quincy Enunwa's hand forces the issue, but yeah, we'll take a look at how much you should spend on Fab, if you should, on tomorrow's episode.
Also back, Antonio Brown had a monster game, 13 targets.
We've been waiting.
Yeah, here it was. I mean, good. Hopefully the panic will subside on Antonio Brown.
The most important part of that, 13 targets to Antonio Brown, 4 targets to Juju Smith-Schuster.
Squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi connected, as they talked
they
about.
They added a mesh extender to their network, and all was fine with Antonio Brown.
Devontae Adams, calf schmaff is what he says. He was fine. He had a monster day. Adam Thielen, congratulations to Adam Thielen. Apparently is the first wide receiver ever to go over 100 yards in the first 5 games of the season. He is dominating.
He's incredible. And here's the thing. You can trade for him. I know it's hard to get a guy who's doing something that's never been done before, but fantasy owners, even the owners, oftentimes still just don't believe that it's going to continue to keep happening. It's going to continue to keep happening. The Vikings can't run the ball. Even when Dalvin Cook gets back, their offensive line's terrible. Their defense isn't what we thought it was going to be, and Adam Thielen is the reason I was so bullish on Adam Thielen over Stefon Diggs before the season. And then the ADP flipped, and I said, no, Thielen is going to be the guy is because of targets. He's the number one. Yeah, it's just going to keep happening. I tried like the Dickens to get him, but I failed.
Like the Charles?
Yeah, it's okay. I got Antonio.
Demaryius Thomas had himself a fine day. I think this was a product of very negative game script, or positive, I should say, for the passing attack for the Denver Broncos. Are you buying in on DT being back?
No. If I had Demaryius Thomas, I would be trying to sell him. He did make a great – I mean, the touchdown he got, which is really what helped his fantasy day the most. I mean, 5 total receptions, but that touchdown reception was beast. I mean, he just took that ball away and was great.
Sutton did get banged up in the game.
Yeah, that is true. We'll have to monitor his health and see, because if Sutton was going to miss time, then I'm much further onto Demaryius Thomas. But for now, I would rather capitalize on a big game, big name,
sure, and
swing him.
Hopkins, Cooper, Kupp came through with tremendous games. Now Tyler Lockett, he's been hot.
Yeah,
some may say, hot Lockett.
Oh, hot Lockett. I like it. It's not as good as your by Minnan, as Jim
I'm trying that. I'm trying that on. What about the producer crew? How do we feel about that?
Oh, it needs to stay.
Oh,
Hot Lockett.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, hopefully Hot Lockett can stay.
He's on pace for over 1,000 yards. He's coming through.
He's a wide receiver 1 right now.
Holy crap!
He's
seriously?
He's scoring touchdowns every week. Doug Baldwin, which we'll talk about.
Hot Lockett. It's too fun.
It's great. I mean, Tyler Lockett's been great. He was almost my rising star and almost my biggest surprise, because you assumed that once Doug Baldwin was back, which, contrary to box scores, he was back. He was out there. You thought that Tyler Lockett and his weekly long bomb touchdown would go away, but eventually you just have to buy in.
Yep. Let's see. Kenny Golladay continues his ascension. He continues to rise as the number 1 go-to guy for Matt Stafford. Now, the worst thing about Kenny G.
Oh, his routes were too smooth.
You can't play him next week. Oh, so smooth. Well, he's on bye next week, but he's a beast. Kenny Galladay's the man. At the tight end position, Eric Ebron. What?
Hey.
What?
Start of the week.
15 targets, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Eric Ebron. He's a tight end you must play moving forward as long as Jack Doyle is out. I think you got to play. You have to play him.
I agree with Jack Doyle out. I guess I started because T.Y. Hilton and Jack Doyle and Marlon Mack, who is a pass catcher, or has the ability. All three were out. This was a perfect situation. But I guess Eric Ebron was the number 5 tight end before this week.
Yes.
So
the tight end situation, surprise, surprise, is a mess as always. But Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, your stalwarts are getting it done. Austin Hooper.
I love this
Jason,
man.
This is a tip of the cap to you. Saturday, pretty much Saturday night, you made the flip from Ricky Seals-Jones, who
Ricky Goose Jones.
you went to Austin Hooper, 9 for 77 on 12 targets.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted a piece of that Pittsburgh.
Jason Vegas.
Yes, you wanted a piece of the Pittsburgh game. Austin Hooper has been far more involved than a lot of the mediocre tight ends in the league. It's taken him a while, and so the downside of Hooper is that he is at best the 4th option. At worst, 5th if Freeman is healthy,
Right.
and he's the 4th option, but he's clearly behind Sanu, Ridley, and Julio Jones. So you can't trust him that much. But with the Atlanta defense being horrifically bad and teams being able to score on Atlanta at will due to their injured players, Matt Ryan has to keep slinging it, has to keep going. And so, yeah, Austin Hooper, he's I think right now a must pick up. Next week, Tampa Bay. That's the game I want.
Right.
Like, I already, in fact, last week on Friday, I put in my start of the week at quarterback for next week.
Oh, did you?
Which is now this week.
And who is it?
It's Jameis Winston.
I
I want this game.
What's funny is I did that about 5 days ago. So it must have been deleted by our producer. I'm not lying. I went a week ago and I did that already.
I call first. We'll give.
We're fighting for Jameis.
We'll give it to Andy, and then we'll pick other guys.
All right, let's talk about our rising stars.
Rising Stars of the Week.
I'm going to kick it off here. My rising star of the week. He might be a rental, but TJ Yeldon. We're talking about a running back 1.
Yes.
Here for TJ Yeldon this past week, 10 carries, 10 targets, over 100 yards from scrimmage, a touchdown reception. I mean, like Jason was talking about, there are very few workhorse running backs in the league anymore. And TJ Yeldon, at least for next week, and in my opinion, the next 2 weeks minimum, will be that. His backup, Corey Grant, is now hurt. Liz Frank injury. Leonard Fournette just can't stay on the field. And TJ Yeldon is a good running back.
Yeah.
He can get it done. He's been over 5 a carry in 3 games this year. Can catch the ball. Game script proof. Gets to play against Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas
next week.
Then the schedule gets a little bit more difficult with Dallas, Texans, and Eagles. I don't really love any of those matchups, but it's irrelevant. If you've got a guy that's involved in the running game and the passing game, you have to start him. And because of that Week 9 bye, I think Fournette
they might hold him
stays out till Week 10.
Wow. And if they did, I mean, you've hit a home run with TJ Yeldon. And the reason I'm bringing him up, if he's not on the waiver wire, I get it. But if you are in the situation where you are having to manufacture, you have to create a win right now, TJ Yeldon is going to be far cheaper to trade for than saying, "Oh, I got to somehow get Melvin Gordon on my team."
Right.
I got to get Zeke on my team. That's going to be a very difficult thing to accomplish. But if a team feels like they have TJ Yeldon and they can cash in on an asset that's going to expire, because he won't be a running back 1 the entire season, but I just think you should check in and see if you can get TJ Yeldon for a couple week rental.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was going to put him in, but you had him selected before I got there. My rising star is a guy who's now done it for 2 games in his entire career, but they're his first 2 games. Kiki QT looks legit.
He does.
He's got great hands. We liked him coming out of college. And the nice thing is Will Fuller was in the game. Will Fuller was there. DeAndre Hopkins was there. Kiki QT still had 7 targets, 6 receptions, got a touchdown. He's a guy that I think going forward, you're going to be able to play with him in the flex. If it's a decent matchup, if there's a high over-under, you want to have him involved. And it's really a piece that the Texans have needed. They've needed the short possession receiver because Hopkins and Will Fuller are both, medium to long distance, field stretching capable guys. So if you can have those two guys on the outside and have a dangerous option from the slot like Kiki QT, who now, week one, his week one,
right.
109 yards on 11 receptions. Week 2, 51, 6 receptions and a touchdown. I like what I'm seeing.
But can you answer the question, Jason?
Okay.
Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? You have no idea what I'm talking about?
I do. No, I remember the lyrics.
Look, Baby Josh, you've got to be in on that one. Finally, a reference for the baby in the crowd.
All right.
He nods his head in approval.
I recognize it.
You old man. Old busted.
I'm leaving. I apologize.
Get with it. Those are the rising stars of the week. TJ Yeldon, Kiki QT. Those are brought to you by Fantasy Champs, the only place you need to go for any fantasy football hardware, trophies, rings, customizable jerseys. Check them out.
Do you know where I get my championship rings and championship belts?
Where?
Nowhere but Fantasy Champs. That's where.
Thank you for your nod of approval, Jason.
You're welcome.
All right. You can't have the studs without
Pooped in his big boy pants.
Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, Joe Flacco. I like the fact that Joe Flacco is in here.
Right,
because he actually has big pants now.
He has earned big boy pants, and he unfortunately he filled them up, and that's never good. You never want to fill up those pants, but he's got them.
Yeah, good for you, Joe Flacco. Not
good for you this week. Yes.
So at the running back position, one of the most difficult things to evaluate coming into the weekend, my Sunday live stream, probably 50% of the questions revolved around this character and the Atlanta Falcons backfield. Devonta Freeman. What do you do with Devonta Freeman? The reports of a three-headed monster came to fruition No, not kind of. When a goal line carry goes to the third running back, that's a 3 running back committee. I don't care if he only gets 1 touch on the day. If you get the goal line carry, that's a 3-person committee.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but would you say it's a 3-person committee if on the goal line a team handed it to the fullback as a sneak play ahead of the – that's not really a 3-person committee. Unfortunately –
And no, I would not because the fullback, because I'm talking about running back committees, not fullback committees.
Right.
And I'm not comboing them together.
I'm just saying he got, what, Ito Smith 3 –
He got 3 carries.
3 carries
to Tevin Coleman's 7, to Devonta Freeman's 8.
No, it's an important question. It really is because people are relying on both Tevin Coleman and Freeman. This was a game that they were supposed to, first of all, the Falcons were supposed to just be far better against the Steelers' defense that's been reeling. I would say the number one pooped in his big boy pants was the Falcons. Right, like Matt Ryan got it was
right.
okay. It was okay, but huge disappointment based on what you thought you were going to get going into the week. Julio, Ridley. Other than Hooper and Sanu,
Sanu's the one who came through.
Yes, and that's not the one you started. That's not the one anybody wanted to come through or start. But regarding the running back tandem, I think you have to be fine going forward with Devonta Freeman. This is his first game back. He's clearly the starter. This is still an offense that's great. You can't overreact to single week things. I'm fully convinced that
Trade
Freeman,
for?
Sure, absolutely.
Let me give you this hypothetical situation. Say you could trade – this is a confidence tester for you.
All right.
You can trade David Johnson for Devonta Freeman plus. It's, of course, a plus, but I'm saying like a good wide receiver, a nice wide receiver. Like, let's say You need help at the wide receiver position. Would you trade David Johnson for Devonta Freeman and Kenny Golladay?
I don't think so. It would have to be better than Kenny Golladay, and that's no disrespect to Kenny Golladay. It would have to be a big plus.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, if there was a really good other piece, if I could trade, Dave, maybe you could work it where you're trading someone like David Johnson and Kenny Golladay for Freeman and Hopkins. Something where you're using the name to go from an elite guy to another elite guy at a different position, then I'd be willing. But
Evans. Mike Evans as the wide receiver. Still no?
Yeah. Well, if it was just Freeman and Evans, yes, I would do that.
Okay. Marshawn Lynch was game scripted out by the Los Angeles Chargers.
Well, kind of. He had the – I mean, you were playing against him. You're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
We both said to each other, well, Marshawn Lynch shouldn't touch the ball again because they have the Raiders have to throw nonstop. Jalen Richard's going to be in. And then all of a sudden –
well, the goal line?
Yes, they got down to the 1 yard line.
Yeah, and they got an illegal touchdown to Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dion Lewis, Derrick Henry, the Teen Titans continue to disappoint at the running back position. I don't know what the heck you do with these two guys because they show up here very frequently.
Yeah, they really do. The only one I'm still willing to trust is Dion Lewis because of certain games he's going to be able to be involved in the passing game. If you're in a PPR, half PPR, his baseline is higher. We already knew going into this game, this matchup was going to be lower scoring. This is going to be a Derrick Henry game script, and it was, and he just stunk. So, I would, like I said earlier, Derrick Henry you have to get rid of him. You can't have him on your roster.
Because you're going to be tempted to play him.
Exactly. I mean, it's
siren.
It's
Derrick
better.
Henry is on the island going.
I feel like I would rather have Ito.
Cover your ears, sailors.
It would be better to have Ito Smith on your roster than Derrick Henry.
Oh,
because you won't play him. You won't play Ito Smith.
My goodness.
You might be tempted to play Derrick Henry. Trade him.
Royce Freeman. Royce Freeman continues to be outperformed, outtouched by Phillip Lindsay.
We're going to get Royce Freeman more involved. He's deserved it to the tune of 5 carries.
I mean, the way that they use him, the game script got out of hand very quickly for the Denver Broncos. Latavius Murray could not come through as they started for Minnesota.
No, I mean,
per usual.
He was my final straw guy where the last chance to prove that maybe you're relevant. You're not. You're
the
dead
wide receiver position. This is not for the squeamish. The names that we have to talk about today.
No.
Doug Baldwin played on 88% of the snaps, played his usual allotment of slots out, or snaps out of the slot.
He was
1 for 1 on 1 target.
He looked fine. He looked healthy. He was run blocking every play. What happened in this game was the Seahawks were able to run as much as they wanted on the Rams. The Rams could not stop the combination of Mike Davis and Chris Carson. Rashad Penny did not get a snap in this game. Say, hey, Seahawks, you wish you had another first-round pick to add to your starting running backs anyways? Like, you're so dumb. And this is why Pete Carroll's retiring at the end of the year. So I'm Doug Baldwin, I'm not going to bench him. Okay. Like next week, he's probably going to be started by me. He's on the field. He's valuable. He's got a connection with Russell. The problem is if they're able to get the running game going, and I don't think they're going to run like this every week. I just don't think it's possible. We haven't seen it so far up to this year, and if Russell's going to be throwing the ball.
Chris Carson's had a big game a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be. You got to look at the schedule and see, is this team
I don't
that can be
maybe because a couple of weeks ago it was Chris Carson with over 30 touches.
And then Mike Davis.
Then Mike Davis had a big week. And then both of them had a big week.
Maybe Schottenheimer
he's got to figure it out.
He's got to figure it out. That running game is on. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough because if Russell's not airing it out, Doug Baldwin can't be Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, but Hot Lockett can get it done.
Hot Lockett.
1 target, 1 reception, 10 yards for Amari Cooper.
100% catch rate.
Him and Doug Baldwin, it is unfathomable to me that your top wide receiver gets one target.
See, here's the thing.
It's madness.
Amari Cooper is actually I'm starting to realize that Cooper is a little bit more predictive than we think. I mean, when the opposing team has a solid corner that can get on Cooper, he just beats him. He doesn't get open. He doesn't get targets. I mean, that's why Jordy Nelson was your start of the week.
Right.
Jordy, who caught the touchdown and had a fine game, versus Amari Cooper, who against when you're playing Amari Cooper against a really good cornerback, he disappears.
Just don't.
Right, just don't. But if you're not, if it's, I think so far the last 3 weeks we've been able to predict it, right? At least last week I said I'd play him. He had a great week. This week I said no way, I would sit him. He had a terrible week. We'll have to take him as a weekly matchup and, make sure you're paying attention to the Raiders previews, and we'll say whether or not you could start him or not.
Larry Fitz, 2 for 35, 3 targets, facing Minnesota, Denver, San Francisco, which I'm throwing San Francisco in there because he just put up 2 for 35 against them. What do you do? What do you possibly do with Larry? Bench him, cut him?
Either. I mean, I would cut Larry. I would cut him. I mean, if, any time that there's a big name, you try to package trade. We say that every week, and it's true.
I don't think you're going to be able to trade Larry.
I don't either, but look at it this way. When you drop Larry Fitzgerald to the waiver wire, I promise you he'll be picked up that first day. Someone will pick him up.
Maybe.
And whenever there's a player like that, that means someone thinks that there's value there, and there very well could be. There very well could be if he gets over the hamstring issues and starts connecting with Josh Rosen. But most people who have Larry have losses on their roster, and they cannot wait for the Cardinals to figure it out. And I think the odds are in the favor of them never figuring it out.
Alshon Jeffrey, only 2 for 39, but he had 8 targets. This was, I think, just a matter of not connecting with Carson Wentz.
He had a late game, super important, long-distance third-down pickup, hit him right in the chest, and he dropped the ball when he was hit.
But I think he'll be fine. Quincy Enunwa, we already touched on this. Chris Hogan, don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. Just drop him and move on.
Tyler Boyd.
4 for 44, 7 targets. Yes, it's a little bit disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Tampa Bay coming up. Better days, brighter days are coming up for Tyler Boyd.
You continue rolling with Tyler Boyd. I mean, every we just named, Doug Baldwin, Amari Cooper. They had one catch for 10 or fewer yards, whereas, 4 for 44 is just disappointing.
Here's the reason why Eric Ebron is a must-start for the foreseeable future. Ricky Seals-Jones, nothing. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, nothing. Vance McDonald, 1 for 6. Jared Cook, 4 for 20.
Here,
the tight end landscape. Wee.
You know what's interesting?
Hold on tight.
The one that sticks out to me there, and actually, I guess you could even include Ricky Seals-Jones. Jermaine Gresham was involved.
Yeah. And
so at the beginning of the year, when we were higher on Ricky Seals-Jones, Jermaine Gresham was not yet back from his Achilles injury, but he is back now, so that's factoring in. And Austin Seferian-Jenkins has been dealing with his core injury, and so, because he's been playing through it, we just assumed it's going to keep happening. But he only had 27% of snaps. However, the tight end was used by Blake Bortles, Niles Paul, the other tight end there, 7 receptions for 65 yards. So this is one of those things where I actually view this in good light for Austin Seferian-Jenkins or whoever that's going to be. You need to follow the ASJ injuries, see if he's practicing through the week. If his injury's getting worse, you might just keep your eyes on Niles Paul, because if they end up saying, hey, ASJ, take the week off, then I think Niles Paul is a fine start. If Austin Seferian-Jenkins is involved and, especially with Leonard Fournette out of the way, we've talked about how much better Blake Bortles is and how much more he has to throw without Fournette in the game, then if he's practicing for a full week, I think Austin Seferian-Jenkins, even though he had a bad week this week, you can look that Blake Bortles was using the tight end position.
And we can't finish a poopy section without putting Mason Crosby on notice. Missed 4 field goals, missed an extra point. Packers lost. They lost 31-23, and he missed 4 field goals and an extra point.
Ay, caramba.
Poor Mason Crosby.
I mean, honestly, lucky Mason Crosby that this game comes at this point in his career, because I don't think he'll get cut.
No.
That's my point. Your response is
it's
you
a
can't
bad
cut
day.
Mason Crosby. But if this happened year 2 in his career, he's absolutely gone.
So there it is, Jason. We made it through our first show. How did you feel?
I feel pretty good. I feel like I can't wait for tomorrow's show. It's gonna be the best waiver show of all time.
It might be.
I mean, I'm not. It could be.
It absolutely could be. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Fantasy Footballers podcast. Check out draft.com/ballers if you're going to play some daily. Get ready for that on the weekend. Tomorrow is the waivers. If you need something tonight, like Michael Thomas, good luck. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.